your hands. The Spirit is moving. God is here. Lift your hands. Let the King of Glory come in. In the name of Jesus, be free. My God, what is this? Bones under the altar. This is evil, pure evil. We have to tell the pastor.
Every Sunday morning at Oracle of Power Ministry, the building came alive early. Before the sun fully rose, worshipers filled the room. Songs burst out loud and confident. By mid-morning every Sunday, there was hardly space to stand. People arrived early, afraid of missing what God might do next. Latecomers stood by the doors, listening from outside, unwilling to leave. Cars lined the streets, luxury vehicles parked beside old taxis. No one cares who is who. Everyone believed they were coming for the same thing, power. Pastor Mark was the founder of the ministry. People called him the seer, a pastor whose prayers never failed, a man people believed had the ears of the gods and can access even the secret thoughts in the hearts of men. They said he could call out names without being told and describe problems he had never heard before. Stories of the move of power and miracles traveled faster than sermons, from offices to markets and homes. Soon, people were coming from other parts of the city and from other states to witness the power in the Oracle of Power ministry. On some Sundays, visitors arrived from outside the country, drawn by rumors of uncommon miracles. Sick people walked out healed, businesses turned around, barrenness gave way to pregnancy. Inside the church, faith grew strong. No one questioned anything. And the question no one asked was the one that mattered most. What is the source of Pastor Mark's powers than people? A time when he preached with passion, yet no one stayed behind to listen. His passion was genuine, but the struggles became intense. The pressure to be heard and visible was more overwhelming. That was when he began to listen to voices he once avoided. Voices that promised results without delay, power and wealth without waiting. Pastor Mark began to travel quietly. Short trips at first, then longer ones to seek power. He met a group of pastors called the Enlightened Ones. They told him waiting was for those who could afford to be ignored. They gave him the rules and the demands to join their fraternity. Newborn babies, bury them in the altar every year. At first, he resisted, but the pressure was already too much to bear, so he agreed to the terms. But where is he going to get the babies? He went to an orphanage where he signed an agreement. Every year, they will give him babies as he requests for, and he will service them with a specific amount. When the ritual was done, to his surprise, the church began to grow. Slowly, at first, then faster than he could explain. No one knew a line had been crossed. No one knew a door had been opened to strange spirits, and babies had been buried on the altar. Miracles increased, the crowds grew, the pastor's name spread wider than ever. No one suspected that every blessing they celebrated was standing on something that had been taken in silence. And as long as the altar stayed untouched, the covenant held. The Oracle of Power ministry became the place people talked about everywhere, in offices, in buses, and in family gatherings. The pastor's words carried authority, fell to the floor, convinced something had touched them. Sooner or later, everything changed. It started on an ordinary weekday. The church was quiet. No music, no prayers, just the sound of tools and footsteps. The church sanctuary keepers and technical unit were doing a cleanup and repairs inside the church building. Pastor Mark was not around. He had traveled again for another spiritual retreat, he said. Another time alone with God. As the workers moved closer to the altar, one of them noticed something strange. The floor there looked different. The cement was newer. The surface is fresh and uneven. It looked like it had been opened before, then covered again. At first, they ignored it. But curiosity has its own voice, and it kept speaking. They whispered among themselves, argued quietly. One suggested they leave it alone. Another said it made no sense to hide repairs beneath an altar. Finally, one of them picked up a tool and started to dig out the altar. The first strike was careful. The second, firmer. Then, the surface broke. What they saw made them step back. The soil beneath was loose, recently disturbed. They dug deeper, and then they saw the unimaginable. Bones. Small bones, too small to belong to an adult, too delicate to be ignored. Someone shouted. Another ran outside and refused to come back in. The altar was no longer holy ground. It had become something else entirely. Within minutes, phones were out. Calls were made. Pictures and videos were taken. By the time the workers stopped digging, the truth was already on its way out of the building. When the news spread, disbelief came first. No one wanted to accept it. Not the congregation, not the neighbors, not even some of the workers. But the evidence was undeniable. The bones were real. The remains were human. And they belonged to babies. The story reached families who had visited the church for years. People who had trusted Pastor Mark they once called miracles. And suddenly, every blessing came with a question. Pastor Mark returned from his retreat to find the church in chaos. The altar had been opened. Authorities were on the scene. People had gathered. The rumor had grown faster than fire. He tried to explain. He claimed misunderstandings. He claimed enemies were trying to destroy him. But the crowd no longer listened. The trust had shattered. Even the people who once cheered the loudest now stayed silent. Some wept quietly. Some screamed. Some could not believe the man they called a servant of God was capable of something like this. The truth could not be hidden, and nothing could undo what had been uncovered. The aftermath was immediate and unstoppable. Authorities sealed the church. Investigations began. Every record, every corner, every hidden space was examined. The congregation scattered. Some refused to return to any church. Others left the city entirely, unable to face what they had ignored for so long. Pastor Mark tried to maintain control. He spoke on television. He held press conferences. He called it the enemy's plot to ruin his ministry. He blamed it on his enemies, but no one listened anymore. Miracles no longer mattered. Faith alone could not erase the horror. The church, once filled with life and song, became empty. Those who had once kneeled at the altar remembered the nights they were told to stay away. They remembered the late prayers no one was allowed to see. And they realized the blessings they had celebrated had come at a cost they could never forget. The Oracle of Power ministry never reopened. The building remained as a reminder that blind trust, no matter how hopeful, can hide things people were never meant to see. Pastor Mark was arrested and charged to court, and later was jailed for the horrific discoveries that were made. This story is a reminder that not every miracle is what it seems. Not every blessing comes without a cost. And sometimes, the things we celebrate most are built on secrets we would never want to know. Don't follow anyone blindly, know God for yourself, and don't be deceived. If you were in Pastor Mark's church, what would you do after the secret was laid bare for everyone to see? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more African folktale stories